Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Holy Donuts. Today, I am joined by Emily Blackledge from Africa Leadership. How you doing today, Emily?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Sure.
I am really excited to dive into what you all do, your story. I know it's going to be a little bit different than maybe some of the stuff we commonly talk about, or just kind of a different way to get there. And so, why don't you
Yeah.
first tell us a little bit about your story, how you came to the
Mhm.
ministry, what you all do, give us the kind of the high level overview of it.
Yeah, great. African Leadership is an organization that works in Africa, shocker,
Yeah.
and really is built on the premise and the belief that the old paradigm and way of doing things is kind of broken. When you take your ideas and plans somewhere else and try to transpose them, they don't often work out very well.
Yeah.
Anybody in the international development space can attest to
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about, just how many buildings don't work or,
Yeah. Yeah.
programs get tweaked. And so our approach has always been for the last 25 years to just start with the Africans.
Yeah.
So we have built a massive network. We've got 90,000 people in our network across the continent of Africa
Mm.
who
Wow.
have skill sets in leadership, in pastor training, in community development, in trauma care. And they walk with leaders who God's put a call in their heart. And just like a leader here, God puts a call in your heart and you're like, how the freak are we going to accomplish
Yeah.
that? How do you
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it? Do I have to have a 501c3? Do I
Right.
need a CFO? Like we have
Yeah.
all the same questions.
Yeah.
And so do Africans. And so as
Yeah.
they try to live out the calling of what God's given them a vision for, they don't like, do we register? Do we go
Yeah.
to the US and register there and make money there? Like,
Yeah.
how do we do it? And we have, since we've been around for 25 years, we have a massive expertise among
Yeah.
Africans on how to
Yeah.
build and how to build in
That's
Sierra
so cool.
Leone versus Malawi versus South Sudan. And so we have leaders in all of Africa that walk alongside other leaders as they
Yeah.
live out what God's calling them to build uniquely in their space and kind of struggle with like, how do I fit my family into this? And
Yeah.
how do I make money? And do I
Yeah.
have to have
Yeah.
a day job? And, just all
Yeah.
the questions that we start off with. So AL is a group of African leaders who walk with other leaders to build Africa their way.
That's great. That's great. And so, how did you get involved with AL originally?
Originally I got married and moved to Nashville and didn't know what to do. I have all of my degrees are in economic development and
Okay.
post-conflict rebuilding, specifically in
Yeah.
Africa. And when I moved to Nashville, there were a few entities that did that. My husband is in music, so he's gone all the time, and we didn't have kids. So I
Yeah.
just started volunteering at AL and
That's
kind
great.
of flopped into spending time in Africa and fell in love with my friends there and colleagues there and kind of never left. And
That's
all
amazing.
of the people above me just kept quitting
Yeah.
or retiring. And so
Yeah.
somehow the
That's
board
great.
looked at
That's great.
me
Yeah.
10 years ago and said, take it.
Yeah.
So
They said you're up. You're up to swing.
you're
So,
up.
yeah. What's been surprising about your role so far?
Oh gosh, all of it. Um, I think the surprising thing for me personally has just been loving leading.
Mm.
Loving, I think the role that I love the most at AL is um, how important culture is, that
Mm.
what benefits packages we offer and what we
Yeah.
say in a marketing pitch and who we go after as a partner in Africa completely changes the sauce. And so it
Mm.
matters. I get to keep a reign and play with and build by bringing in a team member, bringing in an
Yeah.
African partner, or
Yeah.
um, pulling the rug out from under, like, I
Right.
don't like that campaign, change it
Yeah. Yeah.
entirely. All of those things affect
Yeah.
our team and affect our
Yeah.
culture. And so I have been surprised that I would like that because I would have told
Yeah.
you, like, I just want to go do that stuff over there with those Africans
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not have to
Yeah.
mess in the busy network
The
of
leadership
this.
stuff. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. What so you sit in the president seat. A lot of the folks listening are going to be in marketing development. Be the kind of like voice of reason in the room for them for a moment. What do
Sure.
you wish that marketing and donor teams knew that maybe as president, right? Like, so speaking on behalf of all the presidents and ministries, speak into to them a little bit from your seat of like, what do you wish they know that maybe they don't think of on a regular basis?
It's probably a little bit of that culture piece. I think the team of people that I have around me that do marketing and fundraising and communication, they are driven to go and to accomplish.
Yeah,
They, in a lot of other worlds, would be in sales, like they would
yeah,
be
yeah,
performance objective based people. Like, I want
mhm,
this metric. And
yeah,
so they are like ready to go all day long. And
yeah,
I think what is challenging for me is to I sat in a room the other day. We are kind of redesigning our feel and our look with our
yeah,
donor audience. And so I could sit in the room and I knew I was frustrating every single one of them, but because I said, like, hey, this landing page and this invitation to this event it's not right.
mm,
And I can't tell you what's wrong with it.
yeah,
Like, I just
yeah,
know
yeah,
if part of the responsibility that I hold is like how we get there matters, how people
mhm,
experience us matters. I often don't know what I want. I can just tell you when
yeah,
it's wrong. Like, I can tell you when
right,
the white that I want to paint my living room is the
yeah,
wrong white, but I
right, right,
don't
right,
know which one it is until it's
yeah,
there. And
yeah,
so I think it's challenging for my team because I
mm,
can give more. I also appreciate that that means I bring more criticism often
mm,
and not
yeah,
like, oh my gosh, you nailed it. So it's finding that balance for all of us. We have a lot of honest conversations about our feelings because I'm
yeah,
often like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, just one more change,
yeah, 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 yeah,
can we tweak it? And they just
yeah,
have to, and then like, I'm also a big believer that like, perfection is the enemy of a lot of things. And
yeah,
so at some point we just got to try it.
yeah,
So when
yeah,
is it my fear that's holding us back versus like,
yeah,
we're not quite there yet. So that's probably the thing I would say the most is like, I
that's awesome.
know y'all are gifted to run
Yeah,
wild and be
yeah.
strong horses, and we keep holding you back, and yet it's in the tension that really I think the best work gets done.
That is so encouraging to hear. And also one that I'm pretty sure every single marketing team is going to say, wow, I need to have that conversation with my president, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, hey there, Holy Donuts listeners. Ever feel like your nonprofit's donor experience is like a jelly filled donut with no jelly? Well, don't fret, we found the jelly to your donut dilemma. Enter WeGive, the software tool that's like the cream filling to your eclair, or should I say, the glaze to your donut. With WeGive, you're not just taking a donation, you're rolling out a red carpet for every person who gives to your organization. And with WeGive, you get an incredible donor portal, events, pledges, surveys, segmentation, on and on we could go on the features. And those checkouts, though, smoother than my attempt to make homemade donuts, which, let's just say, didn't quite rise to the occasion. See what I did there? With WeGive's innovative engagement tools, your donors won't just feel the love, they'll be coming back for second. Because nothing says thanks for your dough better than a world-class experience. So if you want to sprinkle some extra special magic on your donor relationships, check out wegive.com.
For you all African leadership, what's been something that has worked well for you all? Like what's a campaign strategy? Could be even just like a philosophy or a set of values that you think, hey, this has really been something that's helpful for us. What's worked well for you all?
Man, I wish I had an answer for you on that. I feel, again, probably I learn more from the things that aren't working well for us.
That's
That a
great.
lot of, I mean, we've talked about it before, but like a lot of the kits I can buy, a lot of
Mm,
like kind of just marketing in a box or
right.
social
Right.
media in a box, like it doesn't work for us
Yeah.
because there is such a secret sauce to the way
Yeah.
our donors want to engage with us, to the way we want our donors to belong.
Yeah.
It's a hard space for me to, we've gone through so many different marketing ideas and ideas where like you need the hero and you need the guide and all
Yeah.
this like language around who's on, how do you put all the people in the right seat. And I think the thing that I've always struggled with on the marketing side is if I shove all of the work that we do through a gospel lens, then
Mhm.
the hero is always Jesus.
Jesus.
Sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
Sunday school.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
Not the donor.
and and you need me at the table, and you need an
Yeah.
African at the table, and you need a marketing person at the table, and all of us collectively are the workmanship and are the
Mm.
artwork that the Lord is crafting in Africa or in Haiti or in Philly. But it's not one or the other. And so I think it's really challenging for me when I get given advice or feedback of like, make the donor the hero or
Yeah.
make the beneficiary the hero. Like there's always like this hierarchy, and I can't reconcile that with what I believe. And
Mm.
so one of the things we've continued to fight and push into with the way we market and the way we communicate is um, we're all on this team, and God's called us
Mm.
to do something, and we
Yeah.
think we could benefit from having you here.
Yeah.
Um, but you're not the star. Like we need to work
Right.
together, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's as murky as it. It's just murky, but
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
that we've landed anywhere well other than to feel like we're confident of who we want to be and how we want to be
Yeah.
communicating to a donor base, how we want people to interact, that you have value, you can do, and are literally made to do something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And so join a team, join any team. I don't really
Yeah.
care, but
Yeah.
like get
Yeah.
in the game, join a team, experience what the Lord has when we participate with him in something really big,
So much.
and aren't the star.
Yeah. No, I love that because it's like every organization is different and every single ministry is gonna they kind of have to walk through that murkiness in their
Yeah,
own way to say, okay, what's God called us to do, and like how are we going to reach people? And the that gospel lens, I think, is for you all. Like, I love that, like, absolutely love that. And it's, hey, we know who we are, we know how we want to go about this, and we want to make Jesus the hero in everything. And so it's all about figuring out what works for your ministry, and not here's
right,
a prescription that should work for us. And it's like, well, but does it? Like, just because
right,
someone wrote a book one time and said it works for
right,
everyone
right.
doesn't mean it actually works for everyone. So
And I
I appreciate
think,
the honesty
I
there.
think the one thing, our marketing team has a matrix that we kind of work through, and there's always like, when you write a
Yeah,
campaign,
yeah,
there you are telling one microcosm of a story, whether you're talking
yeah,
about the person at Vanderbilt that
yeah,
successful,
yeah,
or St. Jude hero,
yeah,
or and and so you have your microcosm story that you're using as kind of your litmus or your test case of like, this is what we do.
right,
Meet
right,
Tito.
yeah, yeah,
So y'all have that. And then there's this organizational level of like, this is what we do. And there's the donor. And so one of the things we found that works really well for us is there is usually a shared feeling or emotion,
that's
right?
great.
Like people can't understand if I tell you, people can't put themselves in the seat of somebody who was wrongfully imprisoned. Most people in the United States
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, yeah,
But I can talk to you about the place of feeling lost, feeling forgotten, feeling alone,
yeah,
and the beauty of when somebody walks alongside you in that or
yeah,
comes
that's
into
great.
that, and how Jesus um, redeems what we think is a really terrible
Yeah,
story, or like left turn in my story that I didn't really want.
yeah,
Because an American can resonate with that, half a
absolutely.
world away. And so that's probably the one kind of trick that we found of like, right at that crux in the story, when we could either start telling you like, well, we helped them do this and we helped them do this.
Right,
And then we
right,
gave them a shirt and a t-shirt and
right.
a tent and a tarp. Like, that's what every marketing pitch does. And then
Yeah,
that's where people quit reading, right? In a
right,
nonprofit
right.
pitch, they're like, oh, now you're telling me about what you do.
Yeah,
And
yep,
instead, if we figure out how to reframe that of like, this is what he needed or she needed, and this is how you helped us accomplish that for them.
yeah,
And that feeling is also experienced by the donor.
yeah, yeah.
It's kind of this one secret sauce. I don't know that
That's
that
great.
answers any of your question, but it
It
is
no,
where
it's
it
great.
changes the story.
Yeah, and it brings them into whatever that lens is that you all have as a ministry, right? Whatever that may be, and everyone's gonna have something different. It's how do you connect the donor to the person that actually needs them to give, right? The
Right.
more you can connect them and make them feel like this is a real human connection,
Right.
the more you're going to have success with them wanting to
Right.
be part of your mission. So, and it doesn't
Sure.
make them the star of the show, right? Like, so to your point,
It
like
doesn't.
you're
It
not making
doesn't.
the donor the
And
star of the show.
it
You're just
doesn't
making
make
them feel it.
the organization isn't the star either. Like,
Right.
how
Right.
many times have I stood up in front of an audience at an event and somebody's been like, we need you to tell them what we do. How boring is that? Like, we offer spiritual and
Yeah.
emotional and mental health. Like, yeah, I can tell you all that and it's
Yeah.
true, but like, you're not listening.
You're not
You're
connecting
going
with
for
that.
the dessert,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're waiting
Absolutely.
for the pitch.
Yeah.
But if I can reframe that around like what we do is we help him not
Yeah.
feel alone.
Yeah. Absolutely. That connects.
Right.
So you're in ministry world. I'm guessing you're reading a decent amount as a leader, listening to what's happening in the world,
Love it.
taking in resources. What's something that you love to share with your team or with others who are in this space? Is there a resource?
Oh my gosh, one? You said a resource?
Pick a few
No.
resources.
I am notorious for a board member of mine never reads a book like from page 1 to the end.
Yeah.
And that was a trait I picked up from him a while ago.
Okay.
So I read a lot of pieces of things all the time. I think the thing that I would say more than anything else is I read way outside my genre. So I read books about hospitality or books about medicine or, like I go way outside the scope. I pay attention to, I'm a house full of boys, and we love sports. I pay attention to like those stories that they're telling you in the midst of like Masters weekend this week.
Yeah.
So in the midst of that, the story they're telling you, and I'm just like, I'm seeping in how you make this guy that, accidentally will win however millions of dollars. This afternoon, like you just made him feel like he's my friend. Like I'm I don't care where it comes from. I'm in my garden all the time. I'm reading gardening books. I'm not a big podcaster because I'm a visual. So
That's okay.
But I also have kids yelling in the background all the time. So
it's hard to do podcasts.
Still at that age where I'm like, I need to maybe hear if this is blood curdling. So I tend not to have things in my ears usually. I read everything. I love the thing I'm currently hooked on is Harvard Business Review's top 10 everything. So I'm reading their book on change management because we're changing a ton at AL, and I want to do that well.
Yeah.
If people have done it, like I want to read about it. I'd rather
and learn from it.
Not flop around and get it wrong if I can get it right.
It's usually a good way to go forward is not have to flop around if you don't have to.
I flop around in so many parts of life, like parenthood and budgeting, and like why flop around if I don't have to? Like somebody teach me what you've learned.
That's pretty good advice. That's going to be the title of the episode. Don't flop around if you don't have
flop.
To.
If you don't have to. Only Emily, the ocean. Should you?
Yeah,
flop.
exactly. If people want to connect with you, if they want to get to know more about African leadership, get connected with your ministry, how would they find you?
AfricanLeadershipInc.org is our website, and from there you can find me and email me directly. I think I'm tethered in our LinkedIn world and our Facebook or Instagram world to all those places as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to spend a few minutes with me. Tell me a little bit more about African leadership, how you guys are doing, and share really just your heart of like, hey, here's what makes us different, and here's how we can help serve others. So I really appreciate it, Emily.
Yeah, thanks for your time.